It is time for a best of 5 series featuring everybody's favorite Protoss. He's playing under a barcode name, but at least, I just noticed that apparently he's in clan SOS1, a 2-time world champion of StarCraft 2 from back in the day. And these days, whenever he does compete in a tournament, he plays some of the smartest/dumbest strategies that you can go for, because strategy in StarCraft 2 is a bell curve. His opponent, though, in this particular match, one of the world's very best Zergs, playing with the red drones. We're looking inside of the main base of SHIN. Now, this particular series was played at an offline venue, and obviously back in the day, back when SOS won his world championships, you can only ever do so. Well, there was one, I guess, during COVID. But anyways, you can only ever do so from an offline venue. The last few times that I've seen SOS play, he went for some of the craziest builds that I've seen in modern StarCraft 2. The most memorable one that he recently went for was against Raynor in the RSL Season 3, just a few months ago, where he decided to go for a mothership rush. Really? A mothership rush? Against a world-class Zerg? Now, what I'm a little bit afraid of is that this series is going to be similar to the one that he played against Raynor. Because spoiler alert for those games, Raynor absolutely destroyed him. Yeah, Raynor absolutely destroyed him, and it wasn't even remotely close. SHIN is of a similar level to Raynor. But truthfully, and I don't mean this as like me being a bit of a dick about it, but truthfully, SOS just also didn't play that well in that series. He made a lot of little slip-ups. The micro just felt kind of slow and sluggish. And while the build order was good, he hit like a few supply blocks, and it was just not optimal. This is a new shot, a new chance. A best of 5 series yet again, so let's see what we can do. Now, we're already starting this off with a pylon on the high ground. This is not the norm at all. Chrono boosting out warp gates is another thing that is not the norm at all. What exactly are we cooking up here? I'm assuming, by the way, that SHIN will be playing pretty defensively. Very little reason here for SHIN to be the aggressor. I think in long games, SHIN is basically the favorite 99 of 100 of matches. Like, there may be some games where SHIN, like, makes a gigantic blunder with the micro or something, and there is a chance that, you know, SOS could win in a macro game, but I feel like across the board, SHIN has to be the stronger player. I've seen so many SHIN games as of late, and he really does look like an absolute world-class player. So I think just surviving is basically his main goal. Yeah, just play this reasonably safe, and you'll probably be okay. Now, this is going to be a very quick Warp Gate upgrade. Normally, we see Stargate builds from Protoss in this matchup. Normally, the Warp Gate research is delayed, and chronoing it here is going to make it finish up really rapidly. What are we going to use it for, though? Because I kind of hate this pylon over here, but I guess that's besides the point. What are we going to be using triple gateways on at, like, minute 3.5? Well, he's going for a Stalker now to get rid of that Overlord Scout. The Pro production is still obviously quite decent, even though this isn't the fastest possible Nexus. It's by no means the shortest. But this will still be just like 3 gateways, no proxy gate, so we cannot really warp in any reinforcements very easily. Likewise, it's also not a robo facility opener, so we don't have an option to get a warp gate out, or a warp prism router out, and use that to warp in reinforcement. Now we go double Stargate. Okay, sure. Yeah, sure. So we chrono the warp gate upgrade. We wait for the Overlord Scout to come in. Warp gates finishes up like a minute before it's supposed to. And then we follow it up with double Stargate after the Overlord dies. So basically, we're not using the gateways. We did like 1 warp in over here on a bunch of adepts. And then we, yeah. I kind of love it. Now, one thing I don't really love is that I've seen quite a few Protoss players on the ladder be inspired by this type of stuff. And as a Zerg player, let me tell you, it's really difficult to play against. Because right now, from SHIN's point of view, what has he seen? He's seen quick triple gateway. He has seen the lack of a 3rd Nexus. But that's about it. We're going double Stargate Phoenix? Okay. I believe this is when you say that you need to let him cook, right? That's what the cool kids say after posting a skull emoji and saying things like low-key and for real, for real. Just let him cook. Just keep on building up Phoenixes? Phoenixes. So Phoenixes aren't bad. But I also don't think anybody would describe them as good. Against Zerg specifically. Now, I am a big fan of mass Phoenix builds. It just feels very suboptimal. Likewise, of course, it's going to be difficult to secure a third Nexus with this. Shin really wants to get a scout off, but that Stalker is on hold position. Yeah, Adepts are still here. I think he's realized that something is weird. So, do you go instant Spire here as Shin? The problem is, this could be anything from, like, double Stargate Carrier to, like, 8-gate Zealots with charge, all hiding in the main base. Right? And against the one, you really do need some higher tech. Against the other, you really don't want any sort of higher tech at all. Well, now the Phoenixes get revealed. I do love Phoenix builds very much. It's very fun. Spire immediately does start up now. A robo facility on the back of this too for SOS. And I think this is okay for Shin. So Shin is playing this out very intelligently, right? So Shin's overall game plan here is to be a punching bag, but a punching bag that has a superior economy. So he's basically just trying to deflect all of the aggression that Protoss is going for. And he knows he's never going to be too cost efficient, especially not against Phoenixes, right? Like, look at this. My god, is that an effective early game? But the problem is that Shin, for all of this, has been building up his economy. And Phoenixes are not really useful to finish the game with. They're good for harassment, they're good for defense, but they're not really great for actually finishing the game. So there needs to be a follow-up plan. And even though Shin is losing way more stuff here than, SOS is, there needs to be some sort of follow-up. Still no third Nexus, 7 minutes in. Normal timing is 3:50. 5 minutes maybe, but 7 minutes is late. You know, there was a popular build order in Brood War, or there is a popular build order in Brood War, where you go Corsair, Dark Templar. I thought for a second maybe we were going to do the equivalent of that. Corsair, Dark Templar, or Corsair into Zealots. He does go charge now. Phoenixes have a lot of overlap, of course, with Corsairs. No Corruptors available, though, in StarCraft 1. And they are going to be quite handy. Now, these Corruptors will be a bit awkward to have, because they're not very good against anything other than, like, getting the Phoenixes to go away. And this is still a scary army. Charge is so late, though. I feel like this should have been done already. There is no Warp Prism or anything along those lines at all. Yeah, and the worst thing you can do to a StarCraft player is to make them think, right? StarCraft players hate thinking, dude. We do the thinking outside of the game when studying the replays. But Shin is now forced into the most uncomfortable spot ever. He has to use his brain while playing the game. How annoying. Obviously, a lot of the actions he's going for are complete autopilot for him. But he needs to be thinking about what you do with these units. I guess we want to go for a cheeky little caustic spray. Here we go. Archons are nice, though. And you don't really want to lose these units. Now Charge is done. And if you look at the actual worker count here for SOS, it's actually totally fine. So he's playing a macro game. The expansion rate is extremely slow. The early game is weird. The Phoenix follow-up even more so. But is there enough for Zerg to punish it? I'm not so sure. Although, ooh, if Zerg goes up to this high ground, only one force field available. I'm a little bit afraid that, yeah, there is enough here for Shin, who's just hitting his opponent right now with a sledgehammer. Just good old roaches with roach speed. Corruptors, in the meantime, have won the Sky Wars. And that means that we can start going for another round of caustic sprays. Here we go. And the roaches and the ravagers are doing a good enough job. Reinforcing Zerg units are showing up. These are obviously very expensive Protoss troops, right? You don't really want to lose them because they take about 7 years to rebuild. In the meantime, the caustic spray of those Corruptors has killed the Nexus. Another Immortal falls. And while eventually this is a defense, it is only a defense by name, because at this point SHIN is in a very comfortable spot. Not only does his army rebuild way faster, he's got a bigger economy to do so. And obviously right now, where previously Protoss was a bit of a question mark, right now it's very clear that whatever SOS had, he needed to show it. There's really no way that you can hide units while being attacked like that, so... We do get a nice warp in over here for the Protoss, who did, by the way, save the majority of his probes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've had more drones going down than probes died in this game, which is kind of sick. Most of the workers were indeed saved, so once the third Nexus is up and running again, the eco will even out a little bit, but SHIN is not going to let this just sit here for too long. I think he's going to go for another attack. Either right about right now, or he's going to go when he maxes out. I don't mind it if he decides to push right now, though. But he does have a Baneling Nest coming. He does have +1 missile coming, too. Fourth hatchery is on the production tab. Probably mostly just to transfer some of those drones to when the bases run out. And he needs to move them to another mineral line. But here we go again. Wave number 2. And I think the longer that this goes on, the better it's going to be for our Zerg. Shield batteries are nice, of course. The force field's also pretty decent. Immortals are actually putting in work. Yeah, maybe going for the maxed out push is the better choice. The Corruptors are, of course, mostly dead supply. Stalkers are still waiting. Immortal Sentry is a banger of a unit composition. He's just trying to brute force his way through. Get some decent connections. Gotta say, though, SOS is making him work for this. There's the fourth base up and running. SHIN not going for any really safe approaches here. If he wanted to be super safe, he could go into, like, Lurkers, or he could go into Brute Lords even. Maybe Brute Lords would be the even safer choice. Just put down an Infestation Pit, build up a Hive, go to a Greater Spire. You already have the Corruptors. Any Brute Lord number at this point, like if he can get 8 Brute Lords out, there's absolutely nothing that Protoss can do about it. But SHIN wants this game, and he wants the victory now. We're not going to be waiting for too long. Is he going to pay the price because of it? Because the Immortal count is growing yet again. He's hoping that Protoss is going to engage into a concave, but SOS, yep. Too good for that sort of place. Baneling speed, by the way, was made, and now we are going for an attack that will be for all the marbles. If you make a miscontrol, right? If you make a misplay right here as the Zerg, if you have an engagement that does not go according to plan, you will have your Banelings rolling into Archons, at which point those Banelings will never trade efficiently. But SHIN, of course, should be capable of microing this just fine. In the meantime, those Corruptors are being chased down, and they're not going to achieve much. But what about the fight right over here at the front? I think the Banelings just don't care. I think the Banelings don't care about any of the Archons. Still, though, you can tell here that the Banelings, they're a finicky choice, right? Like, they didn't really do that much damage, and they were really expensive, but they opened up the opportunity for the rest of the Zerg army to try and break through. I wonder if SHIN just went for a gross overestimation of the spot that he was in. Reinforcing Protoss units show up. There were Stalkers in the main and in the natural waiting for the Corruptor flyby. But SOS actually holds, and he is going to be able to go for a counterattack. SHIN is going to be very unhappy with how this has worked out, because this game is starting to slip out of his fingers. Now, there's no Prism available to juggle those units, but the Immortals, yet again, they are so powerful. The Zerglings are not able to finish the job. Queens are forced to go away from their hatcheries. It looks like we have an all-army hotkey, as even the Corruptors come flying in. Look at the resources available in the bank right now, though, for SOS. SOS, we need to get another round of like 8 Stalkers in. We need to get those units across the map ASAP. We cannot afford sitting at 1,000 resources in the bank right now. Okay, nice control here, though. That Immortal does live. 35 confirmed kills, by the way, on that Immortal. 19 and 20 on the others. Can we spend the money, please, SOS? We need to get these resources down to 0. It's a good ratio. Like, he can warp in as many Stalkers as he needs to, but it does not even matter. No War Prism, no easy way to reinforce any of this. But SOS does have the firepower. GG. Honestly, I don't even think it's what SOS expected going into this match. Because of what exactly went right for him in that previous game. Honestly, right? What went well for him was that SHIN decided to be the aggressor. It's not really something that he has a lot of control over, SOS that is. But that game kind of feels more like Zerg lost rather than that Protoss won. Does that make any sense? Anyway. In the end, it doesn't even matter. SOS. He went for a cheeky style. One that in theory I don't think works too much. But hey, he has consistently been winning events with that sort of playstyle. And there's no denying that the current meta, at least for like modern StarCraft, is a very tricksy meta. Right? Like we went through like a decade or so where the meta was extremely macro focused. By the way, what is this? I wasn't even paying attention to that. We have a Proxy hatchery right now inside of the natural expansion of Protoss. Alright. Yep. Apparently we no longer want to be treated like a punching bag. We are gonna go for an in-base proxy. And it'll be up to Protoss to try and deal with it. Are we gonna follow this up with roaches as well, or will we go for link speed? Do we go... Maybe we could do both. You could even send drones across the map and make a bunch of spine crawlers right over here. Ah, this is a build that we have seen before, right? And it was glorious. I believe at the time it was also SHIN executing it. It was a build, though, that really seemed like it was never gonna work out, but then SHIN still managed to somehow get it to work regardless. I'm getting deja vu here. Yeah, Roach Warren indeed on the back of this. Link speed on the back of this, too. He's gonna save up a bunch of larvae, make his opponent believe that it's just gonna be a queen, maybe a couple zerglings, but that's about it. And then he will produce 3... Never mind. I thought he was gonna produce 3 roaches in one go. And then call it a day. Maybe we'll still do that, though. But he just could wait. And maybe get that extra larva out regardless. Now, this will be much easier here for SOS. Yeah. Triple Zealot is a little bit awkward. Normally, you don't go Triple Zealot against this. But SOS is respecting it enough. In the meantime, there are some Zerglings at the front. The Nexus, by the way, was cancelled. That's where the money, I guess, for that extra Zealot came out. So, a cancel on the Nexus. We do get a cancel over there as well. And I think, as the dust settles, we will just re-expand, and both players are going to take their naturals. Or will they? No, we will. Okay, yeah, no, they will. Yeah, so we basically just shaved an extra minute or so off of this game, right? A full reset for both players. Nothing really too significant. SHIN is going to celebrate, though, the failure of his proxy base by making 2 expansions at the same time. I don't mind this counterattack very much, though. Triple Zealot? I mean, Zealot DPS is very high. It's much higher than a Stalker. Yeah. Dude. SOS also goes for a Stargate now on the back of all of this. I kind of like it. I think you just try to force your Zealots up that ramp if possible. You check, though, whether or not the 3rd base was taken. Queen is a little bit off creep. Takes a few hits bonus because of it. A lot of Zerglings were produced. And I think trading this out is totally fine for Protoss. Especially on this map. Yeah, trading this out. I mean, if you're making a lot of Zerglings right now, it automatically means you're not making drones. Actually, you didn't lose anything. Oh my lord. Okay, you know what? New links need to be produced. That means that SHIN is not making drones. Not a single gateway unit actually died. Oracle now on the back of this, but what I was trying to say is that you don't really need a whole lot because you can expand over here. Like, you can take a 3rd base basically for free. You don't need units to defend it, although you do kind of need a wall off here. I mean, that is assuming that we even will see an expansion here from SOS in the first place. Oh, dude, I went into the series expecting it was going to be a landslide victory for SHIN, but never count SOS out. An absolute trickster. This is yet again a weird push, by the way, right here for the Protoss. No glaives, no blink, no charge. It's just a random collection of units that came out of the gateway. He didn't, by the way, go for the third. He did build a pylon over there, but that's really about it. Shin only on 36 or 34 drones right now. 36 probes here for the Protals. So even though this is all a little bit awkward, we do still have Protals at a superior economy. It's only a very small one, but it's not like he's behind. These are tough games right here for Shin, but compared to the previous one, this one is tough because Shin made it that way. Right? Him going for the Proxy hatchery, it kind of forced SOS's hand, and I think SOS will be more than happy to play games like this. He's like, yo, you invited it? Sure. Bring it on. In-base expansion coming up right now for SOS. Oracle's not really being used as an offensive tool here. Yeah, I think we will be sending them across the map right about right now. Shin's still not really caught up in the worker count. Second Stargate coming up too. Fleet Beacon on the back of this. Sure. I think we're going either Carriers or Tempests. Shin is basically given, like he's been given many minutes of in-game time. Problem is, he does not know. For all he knows, this could be quick Glaive to Depths. This could be a quick 8-gate charge slot all-in. He has no vision on the other side of the map anymore, and he can't really see until he gets a lair done. He can only scout with an Overseer or Overlord speed. Both of those feel like a mile away. And look at this. If you're our Zerg right now and you see this, do you expect a Skytoss follow-up? You know your opponent is probably on 2 bases, maybe 3, hard to say. Do you expect it's a Skytoss follow-up when you see a bunch of adepts going across? There's no visual indicator on adepts whether or not they have the glaives research. I don't think he's going to commit. Maybe. No, I don't think it makes sense. I think you keep selling the story. Carrier production begins. Super expensive. Man, playing against SOS must be so freaking hard. Maybe he's not the greatest real-time player in all of StarCraft 2, but the strategy part of real-time strategy, he certainly has down to a T. Okay. We got the Carriers coming up. Ooh, Zergling's trying to force up their ramp. Yeah, you can, of course, see the Adept attack color, right? But when you first see the Adepts moving out, there's no way to tell whether or not there is glaives. Carriers are here. I don't think you showed them. You showed them?
The enemy has discovered us.
I'm surprised. Why would SOS show the Carriers? Well, I guess the Overseer Scout goes in, but already has seen what needs to be seen. Why would you reveal them, though? I don't quite understand why we would be showing them off right now. I guess he wants to go for a hit right over here, but Queens and Spore Crawlers should be enough. Push over here at the front again, too, and this is quite good, I think, for the Zerg. Yeah, all of these Gateway units are going to die. And the 2-carrier hit squad is not to be underestimated, though. He's actually targeting down anti-air. Oh! No way. Hydras are coming, though. Keep in mind that recall is an option. Oh, no. Oh, no. Zergling's actually just streamed into the base. Oh, no. I guess we all army hotkeyed a little bit too hard here, or at the very least, the units out at the 4th base that he was planning on building up soon, they all ended up going down to the links. +1 melee, not to be underestimated. It's not a lot of kills from the Zerg player, but it is pulling this entire attack back home. Ah, we still have a bunch of Glaive to Depths, but they're not at home to actually try and defend. Most importantly, though, for Shin, this is giving him a ton of time. Now, Shin has decided that he wants to fight this with hydralisks. The norm is to go for Corruptors, and I wonder if he's going to pay the price. Carriers are fine. They're not bad against Hydras. Storm, though, is the real counter. And it's one of the reasons why Corruptors are usually prioritized for Zerg. Corruptors are, of course, a flying unit, so they're just more nimble. You can clump them up, and they're not likely to take as much damage. But this is an opportunity right now for SHIN to go for a push right before Storm is done. Fourth Nexus is building. There's basically nothing to protect these units. Muscular Augments is about maybe 20 seconds away or so from being done. Maybe these Adepts can buy enough time here for the Protoss player to get the Storm research finished. At this point, he only has 1 Templar. Okay, he's warping in a few more. He needs more than just 1. I want to say you need at least like 5 Storms for this to be worthwhile. More and more carriers coming, though. He's also getting the +1, and this will be a very narrow attack for SHIN. He still has the better army, but Storm is now finished. Oh, it's not a bad one. That's not a bad one either. Listen, Microbial Shroud. How do we feel about it? Carriers at this point are forced to rebuild their interceptors. They are 15 minerals each. Oh, those storms are juicy. But the Hydras just don't really care so much. It's a risky play, though, here from SHIN. SHIN doesn't know how many Templar there are. He doesn't know how much defense there is. He doesn't know how many times there's been energy recharge on those Templar. So he forces his way up the ramp. But this is a risky play. It's gonna work out for him. But he didn't know that going into the move. Carriers have had a bunch of time now to rebuild the interceptors. We get another good storm. Probes are dying as well, though, in very, very large numbers. But the Hydra swarm will be countered. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for SOS to go for the attack across the map. I think we gotta go ASAP, though. I don't think we have time to wait. Yeah, we need to go. These units are slow, though. They take forever. Really? Are we gonna sit? Okay. Yeah, my main concern here is the Spire. So SHIN will be going into the greatest unit composition of all time. Hydra Corruptor. Certain StarCraft 2 commentators were playing that style long before it was cool. But they will not be named. Don't worry about it. Nah, Corruptors are going to be killer. There we go. 8 of them coming up. But you know what? This is now buying a bunch of time. And this is still Protoss on 7 gas. A little bit of a disjointed Vespian gathering in the natural expansion, but I don't really hate this too much. The worker count is so freaking low, though. 56 probes. Okay, well, at least he got the memo about having more High Templar. Okay, yeah. More Archon's probably also good. SHIN is struggling, though. It's so funny, because we've been seeing SHIN win against absolute world-class Protosses regularly lately. Taking on the absolute cream of the crop. And again, no disrespect to SOS, but when you ask the average StarCraft fan who's the greatest player for Protoss at the moment, I don't think anybody's really going to name SOS. Sure, on historic lists, if you want to make like an all-time top 10 type of list, I think it's hard to not include somebody like SOS, but in the modern era, it's tough. Little Zealot run by right over here. I'm so glad, though, that we have players like SOS still in the game. Because he's showing us that there are different strategies that are viable. And look at him. He's moving in with the Skytoss fleet. We're gonna go after the expansion over here, and that one is gonna disappear in a matter of seconds. Here's the Corruptors, though. And the Corruptors need to be stormed. The Archons need to be underneath. Yeah, it's a nice push. And it will be costly for Zerg. But considering there's 95 workers worth of income here for SHIN, he's going to be able to replace those lost units far easier than SOS can, who only just now went above 60 probes. He also, by the way, went for the mothership. Very expensive, but obviously the fight happened before she ever spawned. Most of the time in IRL, mothers they spawn before the rest of the... But anyways. Maybe it should become a unit that is available right at the start. Blah, 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 blah. Caustic spray yet again. And there's not enough anti-air nearby. Not enough speedy Protoss units to prevent that from being an issue. Base in the far top left that just started up also needs to be cancelled due to 2 pesky little lings. And now SHIN is swallowing up everything. He is swallowing up the whole map. He is getting everything going. And I'm a little bit afraid that we are going to see the remnants of the Protoss army die. Now, he's still going to make the best of it. Cloaking Field gets activated. Corruptors swoop in. We have more and more detection showing up as well, though. Banelings underneath will shut down what little Protoss economy remains. Zerglings and Hydras are going to reinforce this. The cost efficiency still has to be kind of nuts. Not too shabby. The problem is this. Over the last, well, I want to say 9 minutes, SHIN has been mining substantially more, and it's only gotten worse as the game progressed. Still, you gotta be careful as Zerg. Even when you're ahead as Zerg, sometimes you aren't. It's one of the beautiful things that I think we can blame Serral for. Serral single-handedly responsible for getting Zerg nerfed about 17 times over the last 5 years. Actually, longer than that. Serral's been dominant since 2018. Pretty crazy. Yeah, so SHIN is still forced to play this carefully. No real reason to take the risk either, right? We already saw what happens in the first game of this match. On Mothership. When you overpush, you might just find yourself in a scenario where Protoss can counter you. So he's gonna max out before committing yet again. Let's see, what actually is there for Protoss to defend with? I mean, it's still High Templar, it's still Archons, it's still Carriers. The composition is right. The Immortals are nice to have as well. It's just that the quantity of units is low. I don't think you're the one supposed to be the aggressor, though, Mr. Carrier Man. I don't think that's what we need to be doing. SOS is pushing? SOS, you've lost every fight over, like, the last 10 minutes. He's like, don't worry, I got this. Less eco, less upgrades, less army. Let me attack. Little Zealot flyby, though, into the main base. Prism being a nuisance. Counterattack here as well by the Zerg. Now on creep again, which does make this army so much more mobile. The Vipers, by the way, are really nice to have. It's still a scary Protoss army. 69 supply here for the army. Ugh. Yeah, ultimately, there is no way out of the situation. SOS really tried to, squeeze whatever juice was left in that army, but there's just way too much Zerg. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on Maganatha. Maganatha. This map is actually gone out of the StarCraft 2 ladder map pool. But a few tournaments, like for example the RSL, whereas, well, this series was played, of course, as part of the RSL. At the offline venue, they still use it. I kind of like it. I feel like at the competitive level right now, we have like 20 maps that are commonly used. Now, I've heard the complaint actually from, I guess, more casual StarCraft fans that sometimes it's hard to keep up. Because if you just casually look at some StarCraft matches every few months or so, it may kind of feel like we're cycling through maps so rapidly that you can never really get used to anything, but I really like that we have so many more maps to choose from. Remember back in the day when we used to have 7 competitive maps, and then they would get adjusted every once in a blue moon, and you would just end up casting the same matchup on the same map every single day if you're not careful, because usually in a best of 5 or in a best of 3, we had the same vetoes too, and you just end up in a spot where 3 maps are basically every single, say for example, Zerg versus Protoss, and a lot of the games seem to look the same every time around, but Right now we have probably about 20 maps or so in the competitive map pool of StarCraft 2. Admittedly, some better than others. But I think Maganatha is pretty good. And I'm actually in favor of having more maps rather than less. Triple hatchery opener right here for SHIN. Usually the argument I hear from people that complain about the frequent amount of map changes, and yes, this is really a thing, that in chess, they've been using the same quote-unquote map for centuries and nobody complains about it. Which is really not an argument in my mind, but anyways. I guess people can like whatever they like. Couple of adepts, shade into the main base, get a little bit of scouting done. They will see that there's no Roach Warren or Baneling Nest or anything along those lines. And this is a relatively normal start, actually, from SOS. Nothing out of the ordinary here. I mean, a couple of decisions that I find questionable, like, for example, the first pylon positioning right over there, but nothing really that's too crazy. Third base goes down at 350. About 350. Which is nice. If you're perfect on the execution, you can get a few seconds shaved off of the timing here. But 350 is the norm. And obviously, while you're juggling all these units early on, it can be quite difficult. Do you think chess would be better if it had more maps? Like a 7x7 board? Or what about a rectangular one? What if you had like an 8x6? 8x7? It might actually be really fun. I do know that that is a game mode actually, like not necessarily map changes or board changes, I guess, but the ones where they like scramble up the back row. Those are very interesting games to watch. I think 8x7 could be interesting. It would change up everything, though. Yeah, chess with destructible rocks. Or Zelnaga watchtowers. Or what about chess with fog of war? Guess the watchtowers don't do too much. Anyways, adepts moving in right now. Oracles are on the hunt. They hate Brenda, Karen. Everybody gets a zap. Still, though, the positioning here is good. What about the push at the front? Nope. Recall has been utilized there. The Zergling's getting the full wraparound. He didn't activate or deactivate the pulsar beam on this Oracle. Doesn't matter if you're dead, I suppose. Yeah, he never deactivated it. Unfortunately, that means that SOS lost a lot of energy, and it's going to make base defense a little bit more difficult. Zerglings, in the meantime, hitting whatever they can. And that is the type of mistake you're really not allowed to make at this level. Again, the crisis management is solid, though. Like, it's still there. We're following this up right now with charge and then also +1 ground attacks. But I feel like SHIN is in a pretty comfortable spot here. +1 melee, not as quick as he usually likes. But +1 melee early enough. Baneling speed is going to be done soon. I mean, it's still a while away, but it's going to be a really powerful buff to his units. Likewise, he did make a Hydra then, didn't he? Yeah, he does have a Hydralisk then. No upgrades going for it just yet. There we go. Starts up the ranged. Yeah, and now it's a massive uphill battle here for SOS. Like, this is now effectively a normal game. And he's got one more trick up his sleeve, and it's going to be gateways with charge slots, right? So we have a 7-gate charge slot push. It's something that's scary, but it's also common enough that I don't think it's going to be catching SHIN off guard that much. SHIN is actually droning right now, which is kind of nuts. SHIN is completely disrespecting it. He made 10 drones. Yeah, that may have been a little bit much, SHIN. SHIN is like, nah, don't worry about it. I don't care. I don't care at all. We do have a bunch of zealots in the natural expansion. Queens and reinforcing hydras, though, are going to be working away at it. One of the queens will die. Drones have decided to take matters into their own hands. Quite literally. They have little hands. Okay. And now SHIN can basically decide, when do I start moving out? I mean, he doesn't have to. Considering he's making static defense, I guess he's gonna chill. Maybe he wants to go lurkers and then, like, play the slowest game of his life. I wonder, though, if he's just giving SOS a little bit too much wiggle room. SOS, yet again, stops making workers at 69. Considering he's a bit of a jokester, I'm gonna assume it's not on purpose, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. In a few years from now, we're gonna have Gen Alpha pro gamers who stop making probes at 67, and we will all cringe a little bit. I'm just kidding. Nobody wants to play StarCraft anymore, man. Nobody even wants to be a PC gamer anymore. Apparently being a PC gamer is for boomers now. Did you notice? Anyways, old man Loco here. +2 melee coming up here for the Zerg player. And SOS actually gets a second shot in this game. Kind of feels to me like that was a really good opportunity. Oh, okay, we're still going to try. I kind of felt like there was a really good opportunity, and maybe there still is, for Zerg to push through. Rolling, rolling, rolling. There's a lot more banelings on the back of this, though. Ooh, we needed a force field in the choke. Oh, my lord. Really? This is how we're going to kill this army? Okay. Probably the most cost-inefficient way of getting the job done, but I guess as long as it gets the job done, it's fine. GG. Tokamak is going to be match point right here for SHIN. Ooh, we have both players sending out a worker early on. Ooh, not going to happen right over here. We could take the gold first. Okay. I guess he really wants to take the natural and then also his opponent's natural. Problem here for SOS is that he doesn't know that a worker went out onto the map. Right now he's going to see, but it's too late to pull a probe. And that means that indeed we are going to get the natural expansion taken. Now, are we going to go natural into natural? I think it's going to get blocked again. No 275 minerals available to build it. So while we have SHIN being very annoying, okay. SOS likewise, returning the favor. He's pulled 5 probes to attack this. We need to go Zealot. Yeah, Zealot here together with Cybercore. 6 probes is good enough. I don't think we need a 7. 6 is good enough. This is totally fine here for SOS. Look at SOS. He's preparing for the surround. He's expecting the console and he wants to snipe the drone. You came to the wrong neighborhood. Now, when do we return the resources, SHIN? Oh, too late. The creep for just a few seconds. There's a little bit of a residual of 3x3, and you can fit an Evo chamber in the middle of it. Now, Evo chambers build really fast. So you get the majority of your money back already for the console, and then you very quickly spend what little of it you have left over on an Evo chamber just to be more of a nuisance. And while this is a significant... Oh, no! While this is a significant amount of losses on the side of SHIN, is it greater than the amount of lost mining time that... Ooh, the Zealot, by the way, went across. Is it greater than the amount of lost mining time that we saw on those probes, right? Difficult to quantify. But there's no denying here that for like a full minute, Zerg did get more income that I think makes up for the potential lost resources. SHIN is basically just making hatcheries this game, and this is hatchery number 4 that he's building. One of them in the opponent's natural, one over at his own third, one over into his own natural expansion. There is a Nexus now coming up for SOS too. But his entire game has now become a bit of a mess, which I think will suit Mr. SOS just fine. Oh, this is not good, though. Losing the Zealot, significant blunder. You're not supposed to be losing that against a bunch of slow lings. Stargate on the back of this. Oh, second pylon! He forgot this! No, wait, it's the third pylon. Sorry, my bad. But he did hit the supply block. Normally, Protoss relies on his Nexus being done, and you don't need that extra pylon so early, but oh, he only just now realizes? Really? He's been at 31 out of 31 for ages. I guess he just lost another unit, so he has some more room to build up one more probe, but gonna start stacking up money. Okay, now the Nexus and the pylon finish up at the same time, so we go from 31 out of 31 straight to 31 out of 54. Yeah, and mechanically, I think SOS is just falling behind a little bit in the modern era. Like, strategically, he's playing really strong StarCraft. SOS, no, not really, or SHIN rather, not really skipping a beat. Makes the entire game a little bit more difficult. On the plus side, though, I feel like, especially mechanical skill, if you've, like, had it in the past, it's kind of difficult to lose. So, obviously, you have to refine it again over the course of time. Like, it's something you can be rusty at. But then, I mean, if you haven't played StarCraft in years, but you used to play it every day for a very long time, you can get back to your previous level reasonably quick. Right? Like, it's a skill that you've developed once before. Your body will remember. And I don't... Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't specifically remember SOS having relatively sloppy macro mechanics back in the day, but it could just be due to the fact that everybody's macro mechanics at the time were just not as good. Like, I'm talking like 2014 or so. It's been a while. Maybe everybody just kind of was worse at the game, but... Little supply block here as well for SOS, or for SHIN rather. Not the end of the world for him though. Relatively quick when it comes to solving the problem. Obviously, nobody's truly perfect at it, right? Okay, let's see. Second Stargate and a fleet beacon. Feel like I've seen this story before. Very low eco, though. Like, he's building this off of a 40-something worker count. If Zork sniffs this out, and I think we will see an Overseer. Oh, nice cancel here. 4th hatchery. Doesn't need to get sniped. When Zork finishes up the lair, we will likely see an Overseer going around. Now, will we send the carrier straight across the map? That's the question. I think it's going to be carriers again. Could be Tempests. Another snipe on another drone. SOS has saved up a little bit of cash. There's the carriers. Yep. Don't know why we built the forge. What was the forge for? Maybe photon cannons? One Oracle does pay the price here, but 5 drones is nothing to scoff at. Hydralisk then yet again right here for the Zerg. It gets clicked on by SOS. Roaches together with +1, by the way. That's Roaches with +1 missile, which will help out against the carrier switch here, too. Overseer is indeed coming. It has many eyes. Will it see the carrier? That's the question. To be fair, though, even if you don't see it right now as SHIN, I feel like you still get the pretty clear guess that this is indeed going to be a Skytoss transition again, right? It's what we've been seeing every time. Okay. The carriers themselves decide to meet this head on. Are we going to pop down a Spire immediately, or are we going to do another one of those attacks, but this time around with Hydras that have a +1 damage improvement? Charge coming up now. We do, by the way, have the +1 ground here for the Zerg, or for the Protoss units here too. Will we bring the queens? How many are there? 6 queens? Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. Whatever energy we have, apparently we're going to be spending it on inject. I wouldn't mind seeing the queens march with this army, but... Okay. Funky build orders, though, by SOS. But you can really see it reflected now in the supply count. It's the little things that add up, and you now are fighting again with like a 50 supply deficit. It is just so many Zerg units. Now, obviously, this is a pretty supply-heavy Zerg type of army. Roaches never really are the most supply efficient, but it is just so much stuff. Spire on the back it is now. Hydras are stutter step backwards. Rather than the Hydras tanking the damage of the interceptors, now we have the Roaches doing a lot of that. Retargeting, though, from SOS is good. Trying to take care of those Hydralisks. But now most of them are empty, most of the carriers that is, and the Zergs are, well, still flooding forward. Creep spread also heading in this direction is really quite nice. And I think the combination of Roaches and Hydras here really works out in his favor. I don't think SHIN is going to be rebuilding any Roaches. That ship has sailed. Instead, it's going to be Hydra, Link, Corruptor yet again. But the Roaches, even though they were more or less a stepping stone, have already done the job that they were made for. But this is the type of push, though, that is holdable, right? Like, imagine with, like, slightly crisper mechanics. There is definitely a setup where we could have charge done. We had an extra round of Zealots already available. Like, now they pop up with charge. Now they pop up with the +1 ground weapons research. It's not the strategy choices that are really the issue here for SOS. It's SHIN who ends up winning the game. But I'm secretly hoping that we're going to be seeing SOS really put in a lot of work, maybe like grind out the games. You know, this is one of the big reasons why we see pro gamers mass games. You just grind out those macro mechanics and yeah, prevent little things like supply blocks and all the rest of it. If we get slightly crisper with the execution, it is very doable to play these styles at the highest level of StarCraft 2, and SOS certainly still has the mechanics. Nice series here in the end, but if SHIN plays this exact same strategy against somebody of the likes of MaxPax, who's going for the exact same strategy here as SOS went for, obviously that's kind of a difficult hypothetical to imagine, but I think MaxPax would have ended up with like an extra round of Zealots, the charge upgrade and the +1 upgrade a little bit quicker, and this would have been a hold. And then suddenly the entire dynamic of the series is very different. Either way, it's a 3-1 win right here for SHIN, but he certainly had to work for it more than I anticipated.